All right, shalom, shalom, shalom. This brother Mawar coming to you, bringing out this gospel as truth, to edify the hopefully elect of Yahshua Israel, so-called blacks, Native Americans, and Latinos, to prophesy against this wicked queendom, great Babylon, America. It's always a pleasure to let Esau the Edomite, the so-called white man, know the kingdom is going to be destroyed. And it's just that simple. And we see it in the headlines right now. Those things are taking place, which is going to bring the end of this wicked queendom. All right, before we get started here, I'd like to give all glory and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash, double honors that teachers, elders, and apostles of great most soul, likewise, brothers, put on this truth. Pray for the fearless, feeding the sheep and two brothers and sisters tuning in. Shalom. So I'm out here, of course, I always like to refer to this place as the centerpiece or the central, okay, city of Sodom, okay, and this is SF. Okay, so let's talk about what's going on in the headlines, okay? And of course there's a whole lot more going than what I'm bringing out, but you have a kingdom that's divided, okay? So right now you have this No Kings law that's being passed right now, in which people now, particularly here in California, can now sue the federal government, okay, for any type of like ICE injuries or anything like that. Now it's incredible because for the last several months, ICE was going around and rounding up Jakes, so-called Latinos, so-called blacks, and Native Americans, and there was no such law in place. They did talk about no kings, but there wasn't a compensation behind it. Suddenly now, when you have one doggone Edomite, get put in the spirit world by these agents, suddenly now there needs to be compensation. You see how things work? And that's a clear indication of the fact that our life isn't worth anything to these people. But you get one measly peasly, and if you watch the video, that Edomite was definitely asking for what he got, okay? Whereas Jakes would put the hands up, okay, comply, but still get beat down and put into one of these detention centers all across Great Babylon, America. So they're bringing that out, okay? And this is also a part of the discussion that they're having with the government shutdown. That's looming right now, so that's going to impact whether ICE or DHS get their funding. What Trump had set forth that he was going to fund them to be able to go and do the things that he said that he was going to do while he was on his campaign trail. So we should see how that's going to work out. Of course, you get the Democrats, and they're looking at how this is impacting their business. This is impacting the freedom of so-called Americans. All right, so we should see how that's going to be playing out. Also, we have the threat to Iran, of course. The Babylonian Empire consistently, threatened the Persian Empire. Okay, we know ancient Iran, okay, was Persia, but we know we got the Medes over there, Russia, that's gonna back them up. Sooner or later, we know that the state of Israel, okay, is going to draw America into a war. Okay, and last but not least, what I'll talk about today is the construction of these mega data centers that is popping all across this country. And they do provide like construction jobs, but pretty much after they're constructed, there's no really making any real impact to the local economy. And the places that have these data centers right now are experiencing the consumer, okay, or the locals are experiencing unusually high water bill, unusually high electrical bill, and so a lot of these things weren't thought about because these mega billion-dollar corporations, okay, some of them have a valuation of like in the trillions, okay. They're passing the debt, okay, to the poor, okay, while they make continuous profit, okay. So enough of that, and let's go into the first scripture here, because if you're not seeing it right now, then you will never see it, that America is divided. This is Luke 11, and starting with verse 17, because you remember, Yahushai, they was trying to get him to go off, questioning him, accusing him, and he knew all their thoughts. Okay, and this is what the reply about. He said, But he, knowing their thoughts, said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and a house divided against a house falleth. If Satan also be divided against himself, how shall his kingdom stand? So if there's no agreement, you have the Republicans, on a war path right now globally, and they're on a war path here in Great Babylon, America. Mainly the target, of course, is the children of Israel, so-called Blacks, the Americans, and Latinos. And what is actually happening in the case with this? Because see, Esau don't understand the ways of the Lord, Yahweh Shai. And this place is destined for destruction. And there's a lot of ways that is going to take place. Because it's a place that is going to self-implode. So they're not agreeing on the laws that's passed by the current administration. The current administration is blaming the previous administration and saying that, they set a lot of things up that was causing, things to go south right now. Such as letting a lot of people across the border and, not doing a background check on them. But, if that didn't happen, then they wouldn't really have anything to do. What would they really do right now? If there wasn't Jake to blame, who would they blame? It says, and if I by Beelzebub cast out devils, by whom do your sons cast them out? Slack, here it goes. If Satan also be divided against himself, how shall his kingdom stand? So how can the kingdom stand if it's divided by itself? It can't. Can two walk together except they agree? No. So there's no real agreement here in Great Babylon, America, because what you have is a constant fight for power. There's a constant fight, for white supremacy, even against other so-called whites. So this is why you have Edomites against Edomites, going against each other. Now, unlike Jakes, who have a wicked eye for each other, you have the Northern Kingdom tribes, they have a hatred for the Southern Kingdom tribe, and they don't even know why. The same thing with the Southern Kingdom tribes, having a hatred, or distrust for the Northern Kingdom tribes, and they don't know why. Now we, as ministers, we understand the reason why. Pursuant to Deuteronomy 28, we understand that we are going to be under these curses. That's going to cause us to go against each other. This is the reason why we can't build. Imagine, if you had Latinos, so-called Latinos, Hispanics, and so-called Blacks, and Native Americans, who are the most talented, wonderful, righteous, beautiful people on this earth, actually get together and bring their wealth or bring their talent and their skill, and their resources together. There's no tribe on this earth that would be able to compete. Think about it. Here we are at the bottom, absolute bottom. And many of us can pound on our chest like King Kong and say, you're doing better than 85% of these doggone Edomites here in Great Babylon, America, man. And they have nothing to hold them back. Have all of the advantage. Yet still, you have people who have been stricken, beat down, constantly oppressed, a setup to have the greatest disadvantage, have somehow still managed to thrive somewhat here. So imagine how are you going to be in the kingdom, which is not going to be divided. In reality, the kingdom is going to be put together. Let's go into 2nd Ezra 15, because now I think you have like the Super Bowl that's out here, because there's a lot of cleaning up going on out here, and I don't know how many of you have been out here, but boy, I can tell you, it's a very filthy place. Now, in this particular area here where I'm at right now, they call this Union Square. It's not that filthy, they clean it up, and just around this general area here, where the nicer hotels are. But in general, this is a very filthy city, and you see some heavy poverty. It's a pestilence or disease that's waiting to happen. So if it's this filthy right now, while this place is actually still, basically it's still operating. It's still operating. Imagine what this is going to be like, when there's no workers. Nobody's cleaning up the filth. And people are just lying all over the place. Okay, but this is part of that, downfall of Great Babylon America. This is 2nd Esdras 15, starting with verse 14. It reads, "Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands." So we know that's a modern day gun. Okay, so you have, these generals that are currently in active duty right now, and even in the reserve or National Guard, okay, they have a problem with that doggone punk ass former major, okay, Keith Hegseth, okay, who is the Secretary of War, okay, and you saw how he disrespected these guys that were, they were commissioned officers before his punk ass was born, and he had that opportunity to disrespect. So he probably, is one of these cats that was waiting for that a long time. Here he is. He could talk down to, a 4-star like a 4-star is just a bum. So you can see right now you have a president, that makes fun. He's extremely immature. Okay, and you're seeing behavior from the prince of Babylon, unlike anything you've ever seen before. So going to the days of the Ronnie Reagan, the George Bush Sr., okay, you can go back to Jimmy Carter and Nixon and, Theodore Roosevelt and all that stuff, when this place actually had leaders that instilled pride, and instilled a spirit of warrior, okay, a spirit of Americanism, okay? And now what you have is a complete fat buffoon that has failed miserably in the business world, that is talking about he's going to make America great again. How the hell you can make America great again when you couldn't make your corporation, okay, great? Okay, and I put up a lesson about this cruel lord of theirs right now, Donald J. Trump. How many bankruptcies he's filed, how many Chapter 13s he's filed. Okay, but yes, so these people are clinging on to that, and shame on you, Jakes. Okay, that are casting your hope on this doggone man. What benefit is to you? I just put out a lesson last night concerning, okay, you should get the empowerment, okay, from Yahweh Shai, not Esau. Who's giving you that empowerment? Everybody that sits down and do a video and is telling you who you are, that you're special, okay, that there's something better for you that you can't even imagine. More immortality, all those things. Okay, that's empowerment, man. That should be the thing that's in your mind constantly. So when you're dealing with the BS out here, when you're dealing with people looking weird at you, when you're dealing with people, okay, that are looking at you like you're the most worthless piece of shit on this earth, okay, you could always remember, yeah, that might be the case right now, but that's only temporary, okay? Temporary. We are only here temporary. So let's take a look at the downfall of this. Verse said, "For there should be sedition amongst men, and waiting one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the king and the cause of their actions shall stand in their power." So it's weird, it's great that this said they shall not regard their kings nor princes, and here you happen to have a law that is coming out saying no king, okay, no kings, no king law that's coming out, where right now they're basically, what they're saying is this, okay, they're in defiance of the law of the land of what the current king right now is instituting. Because he's saying if you're not American, if he said you don't like America, we're going to get rid of you. We need to get rid of you. If you're a criminal, we need to get rid of you. But the people clearly are not buying it, or they don't want to deal with that. So you have a nation that is not only divided, but the people, the inhabitants, okay, are completely out of order. Nobody likes to be told what to do. And this is the American way here. Nobody likes to be told what to do. Nobody likes to be corrected, okay? And so what you have right now is, with the exception of the hopefully lack of Yasharallah, is you have hundreds of millions of individuals, okay? And eventually, as they, they'll first, be divided in maybe, states or it could be, the Democratic versus the Republican. We know it's going to be race, okay? It's going to be social or social economic status, okay? But eventually, it's just going to be every man for himself, okay? It's going to be every man for himself, because it's the nature of the Babylonians to be just selfish. It's the nature of so-called Americans to be selfish. It's their nature, okay? So it says, A man shall desire to go in a city and shall not be able, but because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men should be afraid. So why are men going to be afraid? Because you're going to have, not when the civil unrest is really picking up, and if they're trying to get chaos so they can bring in the order, and they've tried it with Jakes. Jakes are a little bit docile. Okay, Jakes are a little bit docile. Jakes is not really falling for it. So now they're gonna look at the Edomites, because you want to get that sword popping quick. But mess with these Edomites, man. See, they don't play that game like Jake. Okay, you're not gonna have these Edomites sitting back and watching their kids get stomped down by a grown-ass man. You're not gonna have an Edomite man sit back and watch his little daughter get stomped down by a grown-ass man, or fingered by a grown-ass man, or his son get stomped down. They're not gonna deal with that. Okay, so they're gonna be pulling those sword out. They're gonna be pulling those sword out. Okay, and you're gonna have this martial law that's gonna be taking place. Okay, in these cities, barricading them. Okay, we know under this martial law that's going to be going on, you're going to have a whole lot of, other agents popping up, like gangs. Okay, the mafia, they're going to do their thing. You're going to have these street thugs, they're going to do their thing. Organized crime, I should say. Okay, you're going to have militias that's going to be stepping up, and then you're going to have people who's going to be living out their fantasies. Okay, you Jakes can't begin to imagine how many of these Edomites, they're itching for a situation here in Great Babylon, America, where they can take their hatred out on you. Do you really believe that they think, oh, well, gee, it's a government fault that they're living poor, or it's a government fault that they don't have everything? Nah, man. They just never liked you. They just never liked you to begin with. So bottom line is that they are going to turn around and they're going to use a situation, okay, to live out their fantasies, and that's deleting you, Jake, indiscriminately. Now, when you look around here, and I have this in a dual camera form, filming the people walking around, and if you walk around in the streets around here, particularly in the financial districts out here, okay, these people walk around with their head up their ass, man, and especially these Moabites and these Ammonites and these Ishmaelites and Elamites, because life is good for them. They're not troubled, man. They're successful. Every store that you look at is got their name on it, their flag flying out in front of it. Then you go down someplace called the Tenderloin, and you see what Jakes them have. Everything is broken. I mean, it's like a landmine of shit out through there. You literally have to be almost like a ballerina so you don't step on shit, man. I mean, it's a sight that, wow. I mean, it's incredible. I can tell you, I don't miss California. I lived out here for decades, and I don't miss this place. I have no intention of coming back to live here. Okay, but it says, a man shall have no pity on his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their good because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. If you don't have, okay, logistics going on, because you have people who are going to be too afraid, okay, to drive the trucks. Who's driving the trucks? It's Jakes, man. Okay, who's the one who's doing the delivery? Jakes. Who's stocking the shelves? Jakes. Okay, so pretty much the thing that's keeping really Great Babylon America together, okay, is a people that is actually target, okay, for deletion, okay, because it's only when you look out here, who I see out here sweeping, Jake. You go through every street around here. Who's using a water truck to try to clean this place up to make it presentable for Super Bowl? Jake. Okay, in a hotel that I'm staying at, who's cleaning the rooms? It's a Jake. It's just the way it is, man. Okay, so what you have is, okay, a division. Okay, you need a reason to persecute a set of people. Okay, and then you go do it. All right, so let's go into Isaiah 19 and start verse 1, because you have to, if you don't have the feeling that Yahweh Shema Shai, is visiting this place right now, okay, then you truly are in a significantly delusional state. Okay, it reads, the burden of Egypt, which this place is known as spiritual Sodom in Egypt. Behold, the Lord, Yahweh Shemel, shall ride upon a swift cloud, and shall come into Egypt, and the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it. So right now you have these people, okay, they're losing their mind. At the same time, you have a king, okay, that is saying the economy is good, he's doing all these changes, he's going to have Americans inside these houses and stuff like that. Well, it contradicts what you're seeing. It contradicts what's on the media, because all you're seeing every single day, okay, is these Babylonians screaming and crying, okay, that they just lost their job. You got Amazon just the other day announced that they're going to cut out somewhere around 16,000 corporate jobs. So these are white-collar jobs. So guess who holds white-collar job? Okay? Exactly. DC might say hold those white-collar jobs. So guess what? That 30-year mortgage that they thought they would be paying off, and you know, guess what? They put all their money, okay, into a house and all the other debt that they're involved with, you know, sending Susie the piano lesson and ballerina lesson, all that stuff for that. And now they're stuck with a lot of doggone debt. So you're going to have a lot of people losing it, man. They're going to lose it. People that you wouldn't think, okay, would lose their mind. Because at the end of the day, if you're not used to having, being under the thumb of oppression, okay, you don't know how to handle that. And the way these people are going to handle it is either, one, they're going to delete themselves, or they're going to take it out on their household, or they're going to take it on other people. Maybe they get mad at you, Jake, because you look like you're doing well. Okay, so it's ill-advisable, no matter how much you want to, Jake, for you brothers and sisters out there, try not to look as flashy or show that you're doing well. Okay, don't show it. You know, look as common as possible. Let's just put it that way. It saves you a whole lot of trouble. Okay, because these people right now, they're in a state of disarray, and your success is not something that they want to see, or your ability, you know, to eat and bathe and live comfortably, okay, isn't something that they want to see. All right. It says, and I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight everyone against his brother, and everyone against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. So they're going to fight, and this is going to be on a global scale, okay, when they do fight. But they're also going to fight here, especially here in Great Babylon, America, okay, where you're going to have cities, towns, okay, they're all vying for power because everybody think that they have, you know, the right answer for things, okay. And in reality, unless you're being guided by Yahweh Shemel Shai, you don't have the right answer, okay. So our job as heralds, okay, before the Mashiach returns to take Esau, is to let him know this is what's going to take place. In fact, it is taking place right now. Because if it wasn't taking place, nobody would be questioning what Trump is doggone doing. But see, once it started impacting, okay, the people who consider themselves to be the majority, okay, now it suddenly is a problem. Maybe now there needs to be compensation. But nobody gives a crap when a Jake gets put down in the street too much. Okay, and they didn't care when, you know, ISIS strictly focusing on, you know, the Israelites. They didn't give a rat's ass about it. But suddenly now, okay, it's one of them. And now, oh, wait a minute, we need to make some changes here. Okay, we need to make some changes. All right, and it says, and the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof, and they shall seek to the idol, and to the charmers, and to them that have familiar spirits, and to the wizards. Okay, so they're gonna look at like, this is why you see people mesmerizing right now about the past. So they're gonna be looking for answers like, why the hell is this going on? Why is it that, you know, things isn't the way it used to be? And if you go and you go on some certain YouTube channel, you might see, you know, some nostalgic stuff from the 80s, and people go, oh my goodness, this is when things was good, when things was normal, you know. And we all remember it too. There's some of us that are old enough, you know, we were, you know, 80s children. So we already know the days of this place when it was at its peak, man. You know, when it was, you know, you proud to be an American, you know. But right now, since basically 2020, you see in a whole different atmosphere. It says, and this is a key right here. And I think now even the so-called MAGAs are starting to realize that maybe this man is a cruel Lord. Maybe this man is a cruel Lord. Okay, because even those that thought that he could make changes, and I never understood, okay, because I just never was into politics, you know, I just never was into politics. Okay, I've never voted a day in my life. I just, whatever. I don't see how people really sit down and think, seriously, some dude can go and make changes and make their life improve. What have you done to make your life better? Okay, this place has a very give it to me, hand it down to me mentality. I don't want to suffer. It's like I don't want to suffer. My lip, I have a tendency to have very dry lips. Okay, I don't want to suffer. So everybody likes to have a constant soft landing. Well, some boys got to be poor. How about the people that spent multiple centuries, okay, backbreaking, losing their lives, and don't have a pot to piss in, and this is we're not talking about the Michael Jordans and them who are paper rich, and other jakes who are successful maybe in their career or whatever cases like that, or even or even in the brotherhood where you have brothers who in their former life did well. Okay, we're talking about wealth, man, wealth. Somebody owns these damn big skyscrapers around here. Somebody owns these businesses. Who owns them? All right. It says, and the Egyptians will I give into the hands of a cruel lord, and a fierce king shall rule over them, said the Lord of hosts, Yahweh Shemashai. Now, Trump doesn't necessarily have to go there and go kill people, but his legislations or the things that he brings out, okay, can cause the deaths of tens of millions of people. So you have the ICE. This is going to create an uproar. You have people going against it right now, so that can create a civil war. Because you have a division now, okay, against this, because now people see the casualties is not only going to be the people that they despise the most. This is actually going to be them, okay? They're starting to wake up to the fact that they're not special, okay, that they've been conditioned to watching people that look like me, okay, so-called blacks, people that look like so-called Latinos and Hispanics, and so-called Native Americans, okay, get beat down. We have to swallow our pride and do the menial labor job, always walking on the edge, not to offend our oppressor, okay? Even these dog nations, these other dog tribes, these doggone Moabites and Ammonites and these Elamite and Ishmaelites, they walk around like that. They wouldn't even want to move the hell out of your damn way, because you're inferior to them as far as they're concerned. Now, I try not to really get into that spirit, but you understand, you brothers gotta understand, man. It's hard. It's hard. It's hard to play the humble role, okay, when you deal with people that intentionally doing something, okay, to test you. But we know Yahushua had to take a lot of L's. So we gotta do it. And I gotta remember, I always have to keep remembering that, and that's why, you have to stay grafted in this ministry with brothers who've been in this, who've had to deal with more tests than you did, when you come into this walk, okay? Because it's easy to live out your own fantasies too, all right? But you have a cruel Lord, nonetheless, okay, that is doing exactly what Yahweh Shemashai has set him up to go do: create confusion and division. Okay, and to Wadi Yahweh Shemashai B'Shem Kakadash for just that. Okay, let's go back into 2nd Esdras 9 and starting with 1. Okay, because you have to have the spirit I saw on you to understand what time it is. No matter how much I look at people walking around looking all gippy and happy around here and anywhere else I go, I understand the time that we are in. It says, he answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the sign pass, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. That is happening right now. That's not happening tomorrow. That's not happening next year. That's not happening next decade. It's been happening, okay? But it's very clear and obvious right now that Yahweh Shemashai is visiting Great Babylon, America, okay? It's very obvious, Okay? When have you seen these people in such disarray, an uproar, unhappy and miserable? Never. Okay? Never. Now you'll see some of these doggone Moabites, they're around, they'll stare at you, they're comfortable because they haven't had that, how do I want to say it? They haven't had that nigger a wake up call yet. They haven't been, touched by Esau yet. But the Lord is going to have them touched. They're not going to go unpunished. Okay? So all these little towns here, you have little Chinatown, little doggone Koreatown, Japantown, whatever the hell little town here, they walk around, looking retarded, like they got doggone Down syndrome, and life is doggone good, skippity-doo. That's not gonna play. Esau ain't looking at y'all. Esau ain't looking at them as no mortal minorities and stuff like that. The Lord is putting a spirit, in these Egyptians. Okay, they're not only, cancel each other out, but they're going to cancel these other dog tribes too that have prospered under them. All right? It says, therefore, when there should be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. Okay? So, this has already been prophesied, and this is the reason why we hold on tight onto this. There is nothing that's going to change our mind about what is going to take place on this earth, and particularly here in Great Babylon, America. There's nothing that's going to stop us from believing the mark of the beast is the RFID microchip. It's already here. People are getting it as we speak right now. The tests are running it. Okay? You walk around here and you see automated cars driving, robot cars driving. Okay? And, and some of the people I know out here in the world, okay, they tell me some things that I'm not going to reveal it here. Okay? But everything that we preach about, it's real. It is absolutely real. Okay? And there's no reason for any of you jakes to believe anything otherwise other than that, with the truth that's coming from the prophets. Okay, so let's take a look at the book of Ezekiel, because our job is a very simple one. Okay, it's not complex. Okay, and if you're a brother that knows scriptures, okay, you should be making videos. Okay, you should be putting your face on the camera like we do. Okay. You should be, if you're posting scriptures and you can make a video, take 10 scriptures or 5 scriptures, speak about it. You have some experience in the world, okay? Speak about it and edify. Okay, there's a lot of sheep to be fed. Okay. What does it say? What does the scripture say? Roughly paraphrasing, it says, the labor is plenty, but the help is limited. Basically, okay. So we need more. Okay, and this ain't about the views. Yes, you do have the men that are the superstars that get hundreds, if not thousands, of views and stuff like that. But man, I'll speak for me. If I get like more than 20 views, I'm ecstatic. I'm like, wow. Okay, so this is Ezekiel 35, verse 20 reads, moreover, the word of the Lord Yahweh Shemashai came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir and prophesy against it. Why are we prophesying against it? Like I said, I'm sitting here in the heart of Sodom, a Sodomite city. Okay, and that's what this place is known as. Okay, it's well known. Now I don't see any around. I'm not really particularly looking for any, but it's well known for that. Okay, it's well known for that, and this place is well known to amplify that. Okay, it's even over there in the so-called Holy Land, which that place is anything but holy. Okay, you out here, you really got to be very picky on where you eat, because simply all the food is abomination, man. The clientele out here is mainly going to be your Ishmaelite, Elamites, and your, in particular, big Moabite and Ammonite population out here. So guess what? Almost every restaurant is serving some type of abomination. So it's the so-called cuisine out here is practically unedible to a man of the Lord out here. You have to really look around to get a meal that's gonna not cause you to go off. Okay, continue, it says, and say unto it, thus said the Lord power, behold, O Mount Seir, I am against thee, and I will stretch out my hand against thee, and I will make thee most desolate. So it's going to be, this place is going to be destroyed. It's just as simple. Okay? It ain't a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. Okay? But what has to take place first? You have to have seditions amongst men, you have to have the elect being sealed, okay? You have to have the MOTB be implemented. Before that's implemented, because that's going to be the solution, okay, or order out of chaos, so there has to be a chaos. Sooner or later, you're not going to have people sitting around in a park like this, like how they're doing right now, undisturbed, you know, staring at you, staring at the buildings or whatever the case is like that. Basically, you know, enjoying their time. You're not going to have that. There's going to be so much shit around here. There's going to be probably dead bodies, okay? There's going to be disease. You're not going to have that. So that's part of the decay process of this place, as this place is going into, okay, perdition. It reads, I will lay thy cities waste, and thou shalt be desolate, and thou shalt know that I am the Lord, Yahweh Shema Shai. So how are these cities going to be waste? Okay, civil war, man. So there's going to be weapons that's going to be pointed, okay, at each other. These people are going to come up against each other. You know, Molotov cocktail. You're going to have tanks going through here, APCs. Okay, you're going to have people modifying their vehicles, you know, with machine guns on top of it. You know, you're going to have snipers on each roof. Okay. People are going to be raiding these places for whatever they can get, mainly for food, you know, because nobody gives a crap about clothes, and all those things are going to be, all those material things that's going to be worth nothing. People are going to be looking for that food, man, okay? And nobody's going to be in the spirit of sharing. So the people are going to destroy, okay, the cities here in Great Babylon, America, okay? These cities are going to be in ruin, complete, absolute ruin, okay? Before the Lord Yahweh Shema Shai, before the Lord Yahweh Shema Shai, before Yahweh Shai, Mashiach, and the angels put the finishing touches to this place, and also have those missiles, okay, shot over here to melt this place like the lake of fire, okay, as foretold in the scriptures. It says, because thou hast hated, has had a perpetual hatred, and has shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end. So there's a reason why there is going to be a destruction of Great Babylon, America, because this man has shed blood. So guess what? With blood, okay, the Lord is going to shed His blood because He has shed blood. Okay, so what you have here is a divided kingdom. Okay, we're seeing that in the works right now, and it's a great thing. Okay, this year they're celebrating the 250th anniversary of Great Babylon, America existence. Okay, or as an independent nation, I guess. And we know from historical, views that a kingdom is only 250 years. So if that's the case, and that follows what has been the case for other kingdoms, we could expect to see a rapid decline somewhere after the summer. As I sit here right now, this might be the last time I'm able to do a camp or do a lesson outside here in Union Square, okay, like this, because of how dangerous and chaotic this place is going to be, okay? So I just wanted to bring that out, come out today and get a little sunshine and bring out, some scriptures here, Lord willing, that was edified with it. I'm going to close out, give all glory and honor to Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahushai Ba'ashem, Rakakadash. Shalom to the whole of you out there. Okay, stay prayed up. Don't be deceived.